Bring the hands, palms together in front of the heart. Here in our mountain pose, choosing the width of the feet so we can adjust them as we become curious or want to try something a little wider, a little narrower, with or without rotation. And then in that place, with the eyes closed or softly focused, let's just attend to where the weight is falling on the feet, noticing the little toe joint and outer edge of the foot, the second toe, the middle toe, the big toe, all the toes. So that can be an internal, completely invisible exploration, or you can peel the toes off and actually reconnect them to the floor mindfully, one by one, all together. Shift the weight a little bit more to the inner edge of the foot and the outer edge of the foot. See how that impacts the bones of the foot and ankle, the whole shin and calf muscle, the knee, even the outer edge of the leg. And then we'll sink them down into our chosen shape, and mountain really rooted deep into the floor. With our next inhale, we'll sit back into a chair position slowly, aware of the line of the knees in relationship to the ankles. So traditionally we cue this as make sure, and I do this, make sure the knee is over the middle toe. And that actually does work really well for me most of the time. But here becoming a little bit more exploratory, curious about where that knee is falling. So we can send the hips a little bit further back. And bring the knees directly over the ankle. We can bring the pelvis a little bit under to bring the knees forward. See how it feels to ankle the knees a little bit out, a little bit in. If the feet are all the way together, we can squeeze the knees together. See how that feels. All the while breathing. And being aware of that cycle of the breath. It's always fun to explore with props too. Maybe we toss a block between the legs. Notice how that impacts the overall feeling of the shape. And then inhale, straighten the legs. Exhale, forward fold. Rolling through the spine, sinking down here. Shake it out a little bit, swinging side to side. Notice the difference between when we let the arms just sort of hang loose, swing, drag on the floor, or maybe interlace them, hand to elbow. What difference does it make when we do that? It's individual, of course. And with the next inhale, rolling back up to standing. And we'll shift the weight onto one foot, so the left foot. And I've just peeled the right heel a little bit off the floor to start with, leaving the toes on the ground. So still have stability on both sides. And now exploring how the weight is falling, how I want to maintain balance on that one left foot as I float the right foot all the way up into the air. And experimenting with flexing the right foot that's airborne and pointing it. How does that change my sensation of the shape? And also How is it in the pelvis? Lifting the right hip, sinking the right hip, tipping the tail under and back, and then around and around, and then finding where is a good, quote, neutral place for you today, standing on one leg. And then we'll shift to bring that right foot beside the right knee, or beside the left knee. And then either remaining airborne here as we tilt the body forward and send the leg back in the air, or we can also bring that leg back onto the floor as we go. So there's an intermediate phase here where I do bring weight back onto the right foot and then put it up into warrior three. Or just go directly there. And then inhale in the warrior three pose. Exhale, bring the leg back alongside the standing leg. And inhale, lifting it up and forward. So we're doing a drinking bird type of motion here, exploring all the phases in between. Exhaling as we bring the leg through. Inhaling in warrior three. Notice if we would like to bend or straighten it. Inhaling here. Exhaling as we pass through the middle like a passe. And inhaling. This time unfold the leg a bit to the front. Notice how that changes the shape. Exhaling as we bring the leg through. Inhaling to warrior three. One more time, coming up and forward. And inhaling to extend the leg back behind. Set it down onto the floor into a lunge. And I'm going to go ahead and release the arms and circle them out before I return to my lunge. And here also exploring the pelvis shape and the relationship of that front knee to the front foot. And then sinking the hands down, right and left of the foot. Plank either if you so desire, or flowing directly to down dog with that to the floor into cobra first. Yogi's choice. Turn the favor, and then we'll come on slowly down to the ground. So the first once we found downward dog, and back to the rest of the one. We'll look again between the hands, step, hop forward. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, sinking forward fold. Inhale, choosing the path your arms will take to the top. And sinking them in front of the heart center. Aware of how the weight is falling into both feet. And then bringing the arms back up to the top. Noticing the impact of the change of arm shape as we shift over the weight onto the right foot. So you could actually do this whole exploration with the hands on the hips if that feels good, or reaching out to the side. So shifting the weight onto the right foot, bringing that same curiosity to how the weight is falling, how the posture is growing up from that place. And with the next inhale, we'll float that left leg up to the front with a bent knee and adjust the foot to explore the flex and the point. What happens through the foot, through the leg, through the whole body with that exploration. And then also as we adjust and explore the pelvis. So we have these habitual patterns, which are great. They serve us in yoga and in dance. But with a fresh new year, it's nice to sort of investigate what's still working, what we may benefit from modifying, finding a new version that feels healthy today and this year. So after that pelvic exploration and the hip changes, feels complete, then we'll inhale here at the top. Exhale, bringing the foot alongside the standing leg, maybe to the floor, and then reaching it out, long to the back, tipping forward, feeling length through the arms and leg to warrior three. Exhaling through the center. Inhaling to float the leg and thigh up to the front. Exhaling through the middle. Inhaling long. Exhaling through the center to bend the leg. Inhaling up. Exhale forward with the upper body, back with that extended leg. Last one, exhaling through the center. Inhaling, extending the left leg to the front. Exhale through center in your own pace. Inhale to the back. And then slowly lowering that back foot into a high lunge. And releasing the arms. Take a couple shoulder rolls if that feels good. Reaching the arms up. Adjusting the pelvic placement and also that front knee and ankle relationship. Then sinking the hands right to the front foot. Last chance for a vinyasa here. If you want to take your shift forward and down, or meeting in downward facing dog, and then transitioning to child's pose. For child pose, softly sinking the knees down again, experimenting with your child's pose. I add my knees together, so this time I'll bring them wider, see how that feels. Reaching my hands long in front. And then allowing it here. Again. We'll do a little shoulder stretch here. Noticing the placement of the weight on both knees and feet. And this time the left hand, draw the right hand up and open to the ceiling. And then thread the right hand through for a bit shoulder stretching. Pull the ear. Right. Forward to the Bye. To the floor, unfolding again, reaching the right arm up to the ceiling, and returning to the center. And we'll take the left arm up, open, planting that right hand down, then putting the left arm underneath it, resting that shoulder and upper arm, the lower arm and hand, finding the right part of the head for you to rest on the floor, and then adjusting the twist through the pelvis, through the ribs, the spine, the arm positioning, letting go of our sense of the right way to do it, and noticing what's the right way for today. Then replacing the right hand under the shoulder somewhere, opening back up, and return to all fours. Either shifting over to one side with the hips to bring the legs in front of you, or we can roll over both shins, both lower legs onto the seat, and reach both legs in front of us, shifting into the middle of the mat somewhere with the legs bent to some degree. You can decide whether it's a soft bend or rather a deep bend, and noticing again where the weight is sitting onto the seat, how the pelvis is tilted. And we'll bring the arms up and then just rest them where you like, onto the shins, grasping the feet onto the floor. We'll take a forward fold now, sitting. Super easy, so I'll dive right into a super intense hamstring stretch. A little bud of a flower. Kind of slowly find our own pace to take the butt down towards the floor, and then perhaps incrementally again, extending the legs to whatever degree feels good, feels appropriate, feels sort of juicy and full of possibility this year. So I can find a stretch, but also relaxation. Using a little bit less effort. One of my first consistent yoga practices was an old DVD by Baron Baptiste. And I watched that thing so many times, I still hear his voice in my head with certain cues. And one of them that I really love and has been echoed by teachers along the way is, don't try hard, try easy. So here's a great place to try easy. Betsy Fisher says something to that effect too. Some days you don't want to try hard, you want to find out what works. Then softly releasing in the legs. We can keep a bend or let them straighten out. And we'll just slowly sink back onto the spine, vertebra for vertebra, making contact with the floor. And then we'll draw the knees up and bent towards the chest. And take them with the hands and draw some circles or spirals with both knees in one direction. You're noticing how the weight's falling onto the head, shoulders, each side of the back and pelvis. And then reverse that circle. providing maybe a nice massage of the hips, pelvis, and back on the floor. And then we can take the legs separately. So maybe they circle away from each other and back together in one direction. And that affects the shape of the spine as well. And then also in the other direction. And also massages sort of the internal hip joint. Then releasing those feet back onto the floor. And then once the legs are all the way extended down along the floor, we'll draw one up. I'm choosing the right. Arms come out like a T or maybe like cacti, like a beautiful saguaro cactus on the floor, or whatever shape you want to try, as we perhaps shift the hips a little bit more to the right and twist the leg over to the left. Maintaining our curiosity about the depth of the twist, the positioning of all these major joints. And twist. Making adjustments wherever we like. Still following that breath. And then when you're ready, returning to center. Hips to the middle. Right leg extended along the left leg. Bending up towards the sky. Shifting the hips to the left. To twist the leg to the right. Oh, there. That was a nice adjustment. Continuously aware of the flow of the breath. How that shifts and deepens our stretch. And slowly returning to the center. Shavasana. Always important to let those explorations sink in. And Shavasana, of course, has many possible forms as well. We can adjust the width of the arms and the legs to our liking. The placement of the shoulders. Even take Baddha Konasana here with the soles of the feet together and the knees apart, or the feet mat wide and the knees falling in. Those are beautiful resting poses as well. Here, we're going to release our careful awareness of the breath and of the individual body parts. And let that focus expand to include the whole body, the physical body as we understand it, but also in yogic philosophy, our energetic body, how spacious and expansive can that
concept be? Yeah, just as we explore the postures in the body, we can also go out into life and explore the way we are holding ourselves in relationship to others. Here in this moment, we'll draw the focus a bit more down onto the physical body, and the feet, fingers, the toes, the hands and face. And roll onto one side. Coming back to a seated position that's comfortable. As I softly open the eyes and greet the room around, acknowledging having showed up here to practice and explore all the body's possibilities and also our possibilities as a larger self together. Thanks so much for practicing with me. Namaste.